Yeah, my name's John Hoadley, and I'm the Vice President of Products at Taqua. And what we focus on is voice over Wi-Fi and the evolution to voice over LTE. If you think of voice over LTE, it's the technology that from a carrier's perspective you have to get to in the end. We're doing this incredible migration from 2G, 3G systems to LTE, and it's all IP. So that's the big change. We can't have circuit switch voice anymore. But that transition is going to take place over many years. I mean, the advantage of going to voice over LTE is there's a variety of voice improvements, but the big thing is that you're freeing up spectrum from 2G, 3G to be able to put more efficient data. And now you've got an all IP network, so you've got to do voice over LTE. So in the long run, you've got to get there. But in the short run, we think people should really consider about, implementing voice over Wi-Fi first. What voice over Wi-Fi addresses is a completely different set of issues, and that's coverage. Most carriers around the world have coverage issues. I mean, we've all been working for years to improve our coverage by adding more cell sites, adding small cells. But here's a great way to get incredibly more coverage by making use of all those Wi-Fi access points in the world. Almost 500,000 Wi-Fi access points are out there, and now your subscribers could access them wherever they go and get better coverage often and better voice quality than what they get from a macro cell. Let's start with voice over LTE. We've got to get there in the end, but it's a very complex implementation. The carrier has to put in IMS, and then they've got to really work on having great LTE coverage before voice over LTE can be really turned on, because you don't want to take your users from a good voice quality with 2G, 3G to poor voice quality, because voice over LTE requires very dense LTE coverage at the cell edge. So that's a real challenge. And the implementation of voice over LTE is very complex within an IMS network. So if a carrier doesn't have an IMS network or is not soon going to be introducing voice over LTE, the introduction of voice over Wi-Fi can be done very quickly. Basically, with the voice over Wi-Fi solutions we provide at Taqua, if a carrier isn't ready and doesn't have an IMS core up and running right now, what they can do is they can implement voice over Wi-Fi along with their 2G, 3G core. And so all the existing same services, voice services, can be implemented with voice over Wi-Fi. So it makes it a very easy implementation, and it makes it very quick to do and do quite rapidly voice over Wi-Fi. Now, if the carrier does have an IMS network, what they're going to run into a challenge with voice over Wi-Fi is that very few phones have the capability built into them to do voice over Wi-Fi right out of the gates. The iPhones have it. Maybe some of the very top-end Samsung phones you can do voice over Wi-Fi. But the vast majority of Android phones, all the different models, all the different brands, aren't ready for voice over Wi-Fi. What Taqua provides in an IMS network is really just the client that can work with the existing IMS core, whoever your vendor is. And we've worked with many different vendors of IMS cores. But we provide the client. It provides a seamless experience. The users use their existing dialer, so they don't have to use a separate application. It's an easy user experience, and it's a very easy implementation. In terms of cost effectively, I mean, again, there's two different cases. If a customer isn't ready to implement IMS, then our voice over the Wi-Fi solution, evolving to voice over LTE over time, doesn't cause the carrier to replace any of their existing subsystems. They don't have to upgrade any of their messaging systems. They don't have to change any of their billing systems. They don't have to change any of the existing infrastructure that they already have. So that is not just the cost of the actual implementation you have to be concerned about. It's all the other costs that it would drive. So with the voice over Wi-Fi implementation that we provide, it is a very cost-effective solution with 2G, 3G carriers, because they don't have to consider reworking their entire network. If you already have IMS, you've made the big investment. You've done a lot of the complexity that you already need to do. You can use your existing TAS, your telephony application server, or you could use the one from Taqua, or you could just have us work as just a client only, which again is very cost effective and a simple implementation. So using your existing TAS, using your existing IMS core and Taqua as a new client that again provides a seamless voice over Wi-Fi service. Again, we're not trying to disrupt the user. The Taqua client can be downloaded or it can be pre-installed on a user's device, and they just basically use the native dialer, and they can use, depending on the different options, they can use their existing messaging service or they can use one that Taqua provides. Well, time to market's important. I mean, I think what we're seeing is carriers around the world are really realizing the value of voice over Wi-Fi. No one has perfect coverage. We all suffer from voice issues, and even if you have very good coverage, what we're seeing is that operators really realize that voice chews up a lot of resources when the calls are made at the cell edge. Basically, lower order modulation has to be used, a lot of radio resources are taken up, and in many cases, if possible, the calls should go into Wi-Fi. It reduces all those expensive RAN resources, radio resources, from being used. So the key thing that we stress is because, why invest in very expensive small cells when Wi-Fi access points already exist? And in that case, when we come in and do deployments, we've been able to get carriers up and running with voice over Wi-Fi in about a 90-day period, which seems amazing, but it elegantly fits in with the existing infrastructure that the carriers have, whether it's a 2G, 3G network or whether it's IMS.